Indian cultural welcome for PNG Delegation. Agriculture Minister justifies ban. And frost-affected communities calling for help.
This is National MTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening and welcome. This is Thursday's news. It's good to have your company again. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and several other cabinet ministers are in India this week for the second forum of the India-Pacific Cooperation Summit. The summit is being attended by heads of 14 Pacific Island countries. The visiting delegations from the various Pacific Island countries were welcomed in the capital, New Delhi, last night at an Indian cultural welcome.
The Papua New Guinea delegation is the largest from the Pacific region to be in India for the Forum for India-Pacific Cooperation Summit, which will be held on Friday in one of the country's oldest cities, Jaipur, also known as the Pink City.
Before the summit, though, the different delegations were treated to an Indian cultural welcome at the Kamal Mahal Hotel in New Delhi. The host country's Minister for External Affairs and Overseas Indian Affairs, Sushma Swaraj, officially welcomed the guests.
On behalf of the Prime Minister of India and on my own behalf, I extend a very warm welcome to all the distinguished delegates to India. We are delighted and honored to host the second summit of the Forum for India-Pacific Island Cooperation.
She said India has for a long time been a partner in the development of Pacific Island countries, sharing its experiences and expertise in a vast number of areas.
India has always given great importance to the development of our relations with the Pacific Island countries. You may be a bit far from us geographically, but you have always had a special place in our hearts and minds.
Much of the discussions in the summit will be behind closed doors, but the focus is on creating and maintaining bilateral relationships with the Pacific Island countries and India. Reporting from New Delhi, India, Delhi Waigeno, National MTV News.
Well, India has shown interest in investing into Papua New Guinea's petroleum and energy sector. India's largest international oil and gas company, ONGC Videsh Limited, made their interests known during an interaction with the PNG delegation led by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. Mr. O'Neill said PNG needs to encourage this strategic partnership with India. Following the interaction, a delegation from India is expected to visit PNG to seek out opportunities for investments. Moving on, Agriculture Minister Tommy Tomskol today justified his reasons on imposing the ban on importing certain goods as a biosecurity measure for Papua New Guinea. Mr. Tomskol told participants at the Waigani seminar that the ban will push local food industries to invest in local communities.
With the ban in place, Tomskol believes local food manufacturers will increase their production rate and manufacture goods to their full capacities. His comments reflect a community initiative taken by New Guinea Table Beds to invest in a 6 million kina project in Morobe, weeks after the ban on uncooked poultry products was announced. The move to impose the indefinite ban on certain goods is one platform the Agriculture Department is taking to push food manufacturers to produce goods that can be supplied to all provinces in PNG and turning PNG from a net importer to a net exporter.
It is government policy to move from a net importer to a net exporter, underpinned by the fact that we must grow our own food to feed ourselves first.
Food security now sits on top of many high-level discussions, and the Agriculture Department is looking at drafting an agriculture bill that will give prominence to food security. Currently, PNG does not have an act that protects the agriculture sector, and since independence, the department was using acts or policies from the environment, forest or mining departments to address agricultural related issues.
We depend on the environment of the land. We depend on the ILG Act administered by the Minister for Land and the Customary Land Act. So for the first time, we will, going forward, sit this sector on a legislation.
The primary aim of the bill, once it's passed as an act in Parliament, will serve as a guideline for local exporters and when issuing international licenses to foreign exporters when they invest in PNG. Tekla Gunga, National MTV News.
Discussions between Australia and Papua New Guinea to protect the region's vast rainforest have ended well. Australian Forest Minister Greg Hunt and counterpart Douglas Tomoriesa are pushing for the implementation of the draft of the Asia-Pacific Rainforest Recovery Plan. Both ministers pledged to work together to reduce deforestation and realise the plan's objective.
PNG's rainforest and biodiversity remain a threat as more developments take place. Land grabbing and landowner issues have risen over the years. The discussions between Ministers Douglas Tomoriesa and Greg Hunt is an effort to conserve and value forest in the country and the region.
The Honourable government, we are serious in making certain that we preserve areas, conserve areas for future generations to come.
The two ministers have assured to work together in supporting and implementing practical actions to reduce rainforest loss and aspirations of forest communities.
We look forward to your technical support and other supports that we see in the near future to make certain that the discussions that we have on a government-to-government basis come to fruition.
Though PNG is not part of the global agreement for the 2020 climate change, Minister Greg Hunt says we may be part of its solutions.
We have concluded that we will partner with Australia and PNG in taking a proposal to the Global Climate Change Conference in Paris at the end of the year for the forests of the world to be recognised and, where countries so choose, to be offered protection and credit.
The progress of the draft Asia-Pacific Rainforest Recovery Plan will be discussed at the next Asia-Pacific Rainforest Summit in 2016. Jack Lapava Jr., National MTV News.
The Catholic Church has made it clear on where they stand on same-sex marriage here in Papua New Guinea. This was made known by Father Victor Roach, the General Secretary of Catholic Bishops' Conference of Papua New Guinea and the Solomon Islands. He made the statements after social media and print media wrongly used his comments made during a press conference on the 7th of August, where he said that PNG would not accept same-sex marriage, to mean that the Catholic Church was in favour of same-sex marriages when it clearly is not.
Father Victor has made it quite clear that the Catholic Church does not support same-sex marriage. After a misunderstanding occurred amongst the public when a report in a daily newspaper made it seem that the Catholic Church was supportive of same-sex marriages.
It was given 7th of August, in which I said Papua New Guinea is not ready for same-sex marriage. And some took it as if Catholic Church is ready for same-sex marriage and Papua New Guinea is not ready. I want to make it clear, in its teaching, Catholic Church is constant and consistent. Catholic Church is against same-sex marriage.
He said that the Church understands that the other countries have passed same-sex marriage bills in their governments, but PNG would most likely not due to PNG's culture. He went on to say that the Church is compassionate to homosexuals as God is compassionate to them because they are human.
And I want to say we respect people who are gays, we respect people who are lesbians. They are also human beings and they may be, by orientation, they may be gays or lesbians. We are compassionate to them, but the Church is against same-sex marriage. And culture of Papua New Guinea also is against same-sex marriage.
Father Victor wanted to make it clear on where the church stands when it comes to same-sex marriage. He made mention that the teaching of the Catholic Church is constant. The Catholic Church is against the same-sex.
You're watching National MTV News tonight. Frost-affected communities in Kandep calling for quick release of relief supplies. We'll bring you that and more stories on the current dry spell when we come back. Stay with us. Thanks for your company and welcome back to the news. Frost-affected communities in the Kandep district of Enga province are calling for the quick release of relief supplies. They say the government must respond or see communities face a food crisis. Meanwhile, Kandep MP and opposition leader Don Pollier has instructed his district officers to immediately release 2 million kina from DSIP funds to purchase food supplies.
Driving through Kandep district, the people echo calls for the government to be proactive and immediately allocate funding and supply reliefs. They say all food sources have died out, including plants that were immune to frost in previous years. People are worried as to how long it would take for the government to respond.
You don't have one moon or two moon na stab and this like you some 1 whole year something me black is halving long government. This lamp halving no god and subla population by na lose some life.
Farmer Matthew Wallo in Pure village says they have little food supply left.
Now what are them throwing me blast? Okay, the greens, vegetables, or one something and finish. So now one online, no say, Molly got money long in them. All Sabbath Molly one day, one man, a family grown. Buy more flour bag or rice bag or kind of sin or bono.
Like parts of Southern Islands, all garden foods have died out, posing a threat to food security.
Ice Karim, okay, dry season come. So no one something but grow. Let us finish, cabbage finish. People but die long ground, nothing threat.
Apostolic Pastor Sheikh Medel says there is an urgent need for relief supplies to reach the people.
Now we black about ember tasteless.
Now instead of cook, yeah?
Meanwhile,
Kandep MP and opposition leader Don Pollier was in the district to see the scale of damage done. Mr. Pollier called on his people to remain calm as the district is working around to deliver food supplies. In Imbongu district of Southern Islands, people are also calling for help.
Oh, something, car got to finish, car got something, people are living longer, something to finish. Something is going to ground. I think look also government help people about right. There's someone help him plan in life by lose.
Jack Lapava Jr. National MTV News.
Well, while the national government has pumped in millions for the upcoming 40th independence celebration next month, questions have been raised on those affected by the drought and frost. Today, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of PNG and the Solomon Islands raised these same concerns, appealing to the state to provide justice for all citizens.
Yesterday, National Events Minister Justin Kachenko announced the allocation of 40 years independence celebration funds of 25 million kina, a decision acknowledged by several people and organizations, including the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Papua New Guinea and Solomon Islands.
I do not blame the government. They had budgeted it. They didn't expect drought will come. They didn't expect situation would arise like this. So that's okay. But now I would still suggest the government to say, okay, a certain percentage of our celebrations would go to help these people. And that will be just.
However, Father Victor says so much money has been budgeted for this year's independence celebrations that falls on the wrong time when a severe drought is hitting the country. This money should be diverted for relief assistance.
So it is good that we celebrate, but knowing that there has been frost in the highlands, knowing that there are so many poor people, I don't think it is justified to spend 25 million on a celebration. I would suggest that Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and the ministers, NEC, would say, okay, we had budgeted, say, 25 million for the celebration, but now there is frost in the highlands and there are a few millions who are affected by it. So we will put aside, say, 25% of this for helping these people.
Father Victor said the state must take adequate measures to respect and protect human rights and address its needs. Fabian Hakelitz, National MTV News.
Caritas PNG, through the Catholic Bishops' Conference of PNG and the Solomon Islands, will be assisting the victims of frost in the Highlands region with 20,000 kina. According to General Secretary Father Victor Rauch, a detailed report was received that called for the immediate release of these funds.
And immediately, actually, it is today, this department will send 20,000 kina for immediate relief. I think they need food and water. This is what the reports came. And this department from the CBC, they have sent 20,000 kina. This is the immediate relief. And working together with the Government Disaster Commission and with the other agencies of the Catholic Church, we will send more relief.
Mainohana Catholic Secondary School in the Central Province is running out of safe drinking water for its students and teachers. This is due to the current dry weather that is affecting not only the school but villages along the Hiritana Highway. The current weather has also lowered the water levels of major rivers along the highway.
Traveling the Hiritano Highway, you will notice the dry terrain and vegetation. While some may say it is normal that this part of Central Province is dry all year round, the current dry weather speaks otherwise. Water levels in some major river systems of the highway are normal, but when we arrived at Angabanga Bridge in Mekeo, we saw the posing threat the current weather is having on this river. What used to be flowing river is now dry sand. 20 minutes north of Angabanga is Berena Station, where one of PNG's pioneering education institutes is located. Mainohana Catholic Secondary caters for over 600 students, all of whom are boarding students. Speaking with the deputy head teacher, Sister Antoinette, she explained the school highly depends on tank water, but all the tanks are running empty.
8 tanks and 7 are empty. We only have 1 tank which is being used by both our male and female students. That's 600 of them plus 44 teachers and their families. So we have no water to drink.
The school sits on water-filled land, and Sister Antoinette said they are using bore water for washing and ablution purposes.
For washing, we have bore water for that. It's the drinking. And for our staff, most of them use tank water to cook too. They prefer using tank water, so that is affecting them very badly.
The bigger problem the school is facing now is the current dry weather, and if it continues for the next 3 months.
For 10s and 12s, since their exams are coming in October, we need to get them back. We are trying to do what we can for them.
We will need to start taking measures like boiling bore water for them to drink. We need more water tanks to come, but then we will need rain to fill those water tanks. So whatever appeal we make, it will have to wait for the rain to fall.
Stanley Over Jr., National MTV News.
The impact of the nationwide dry spell is being felt in the Arab valleys and the Wantuad Mountains of Morabe's Makam district. Teachers spoken to at the Leron Market have spoken out about the conditions faced by the people in villages on the mountains and in the valleys of the Makam district. They say people are facing food and water shortages.
The hot air is felt during the day. Even as a slight breeze blows through the valleys, Makam has been dry for the last 3 months. There isn't enough water in the soil and the vegetation has taken a brownish color in contrast to the lush greenery synonymous to these parts. The heat is felt through the skin. When the breeze stops, the people have salt water alternatives in the Leron River that's also decreased in size.
When you go to see them, their leaves are all falling because it's dry.
Lin Omi, a retired teacher, says fruits and vegetables coming from the gardens have become scarce. The Leron market has stopped supplying the variety and the quality it was renowned for.
No much fruit left, and the quantity is low, and the money they get is less. So
Kinevo Bossi teaches at the Bukawe Primary School at the borders of Leron and Wantuat. He says water in their tank has been depleted as creeks are drying up and garden food has become scarce.
So if anything happens to food supply, which is the students, the food offering, we are definitely going to close up.
Both teachers describe very cold nights and hotter days, El Nino signs that have gripped other places like Minyamya. If the dry spell continues and hits their food and water supply, the people say they'll need help from the government. Bethany Harriman, National MTV News, Leh.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The Kina closed unchanged at $0.3595 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our Kina was trading at $0.352 US, 0.4762 Australian dollars, 0.3128 euro, and 43.21 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and copper closed lower, while cocoa closed the day higher. Palm oil, crude oil and copper all closed the day lower. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 163 points lower, the ASX closed at 59 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 15 points lower. You're watching National MTV News tonight. We'll have more local headlines coming up after this break. Stay tuned for that. Good to have you back with the news. The Western Provincial Government has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Border Development Authority to border facilities in the province. The Consultation, Collaboration and Cooperation MOA will see a similar border station to that of Wutung in the West Sepik Province being built at Western Province. NTV's Stanley Ovett Jr. has this report.
Western Province sits next to two countries, Indonesia and Australia. For the last 40 years, the government has done little to establish a proper border and customs facility in the province.
There is a great need for infrastructure development along the border, including cross-border issues that we definitely need assistance to address.
Western Provincial Administrator Dr. Gumoy said the aim for the province now is to have a similar border post like in West Sepik.
As the administrator, I'm very pleased that we're able to sign and use this as a basis to work together, to partner together to develop our province. We're still backwards in many ways, so we need every assistance we can get.
Similar views were shared by Western Governor Ati Wobiro. He said the impact of a proper border station will not only boost border security, but will help people living along the border who have been long neglected.
We are regarded as you know, nobody really pays any attention to people living on the border. You know, sometimes we say it's Indonesian responsibility, and Indonesia says it's Papua New responsibility, and as a result, we neglect our responsibilities to these people.
The MOU will also boost economic activities in the province, and Governor Wobiro said road infrastructure will also be a project the MOU will cover.
Port Moresby is too far for me. Merauke is just a few minutes away. And for me, if Western Province is going to develop, I have to connect with Merauke. But I need a proper border post, which can facilitate for proper trade and other link with Indonesia.
BDA Executive Chairman Fred Konga said the MOU covers 3 phases. The first 2 which are planning and the designing phase are complete, and BDA will move into the 3rd phase, which is construction. Konga said work will begin once funds are made available by the national government.
As soon as the money is available, we just want to go in and do it. So we'll ask the national government in the next budget. We will have to identify projects right now that we will submit for funding in the national government and for some counterpart funding or so. So we will start now.
Stanley Ovett Jr., National MTV News.
Amid internal tensions, a male hospital staff member of the Morilon General Hospital in Madang was physically assaulted by another for supporting those who were in the National Court's decision to sentence the hospital CEO, Christine Kawi. 5 other hospital staff who were terminated at the time of the recent court case against Kawi, Sister Elizabeth Wakue, was terminated, are also seeking legal action against Christine Kawi. Meanwhile, Sister Elizabeth Wakua told MTV News that she too is seeking to serve a second summons to Gawi regarding the non-payment of her entitlements. The hospital board called a meeting yesterday to announce the appointment of an acting CEO, but due to a lot of disagreements, this did not eventuate. Gawi was sentenced to 6 months. The Madang Fire Service took the initiative to carry out a public awareness today to educate people about fire safety, especially with the drought season at hand. The awareness program included a drama which involved a live fire explosion which was put out by the firemen under the watchful eyes of the Madang public.
This is because a simple fire may spread to something even more serious because water to put out the fire before the fire service gets to the locations may be scarce as a result of the drought. The awareness was aimed at making the people aware of the prevention methods and other fire-safe reminders to be careful as to how candles and matches are handled.
With the sun setting on now, dry spell with black hat, we should be careful in our conduct when we're lighting fires at home or unnecessarily lighting fires on the road or gardens. So, time you may occupy, you should thinking long consequences or effect long. So, as me starting fire low here.
Members of the public say that they appreciate the awareness by the fire service but are still curious to learn more about the drought, especially when the province is also being affected severely. Rachel Shise, National MTV News, Madang.
Well, National MTV News continues after the break. Oceania Cup teams in Port Moresby for the Oceania Cup competition. We'll bring you that in True Guy Sports coming up next. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome to True Guy Sports. And in rugby union, American Samoa and Solomon Islands have arrived in the nation's capital just days out from the 2015 Oceania Cup. While American Samoa heads into this year's Cup Challenge as debutants, Solomon Islands will be no strangers as they too are on a mission to do better than their last meet. Going up against home favourites, the Pukpuks, the Warriors are banking on their forward pack to drive their game plan in this campaign.
While the hype is growing, both the Solomon Island Warriors and American Samoa have forged their forces in the nation's capital days out from the start of the Oceania Cup. The American Samoans will have much to prove as they make their debut as unknowns in this year's Cup. The Solomon Islanders, on the other hand, will be banking on the experience of a number of their players with Pacific Games exposure as one of the key elements heading into the tournament.
For everyone, I think PNG will be the hot favorites, but we don't want to judge Tahiti and American Samoa at this stage, because they're also a good side, so we'll just have to take each game as it comes. We are quite confident at the moment coming to this tournament, but we won't make any promises or anything. We'll just take each game as it comes.
Solomon Islands will be utilizing their forward pack as their main strategy. Although they have considered the PNG Pukpuks as favourites for this year's Cup, they have also considered debutants American Samoa as a threat. Scholar Sengi, National MTV Sports.
The 2015 Commonwealth Youth Olympic Games will be held in Samoa in 23 days and will be the 5th Commonwealth Youth Games since its inception in the year 2000. All events will be held in Samoa's capital, Apia, where up to 1,000 young Commonwealth athletes aged between 14 to 18 will represent their country and compete for 107 gold medals in 9 sports over 5 days from the 5th to the 11th of September. The opening and the closing ceremonies will be held in Apia Park, which will also host the athletics, rugby and tennis competitions. The games will take place in 2 of Apia's sporting complexes that will host aquatic, archery, athletics, boxing, lawn bowls, rugby sevens, squash, tennis and weightlifting events. Just like the Commonwealth Games, all the athletes will stay in the Athletes Village style accommodation and events will need to comply with relevant sporting federations' technical rules and regulations, with the world's anti-doping standards also applying both on and off the field of play. Well, with less than 23 days to go before the 5th Commonwealth Youth Games in Samoa, which will get underway, the Cook Islands have confirmed it will send a team of 16 athletes and 5 officials, while Kiribati confirmed 5 young athletes under 18 years of age. It will represent Kiribati in the event next month.
Cook Islands will be taking part in aquatics, swimming, athletics, lawn bowls and rugby sevens. The Cook Islanders are yet to win medals at any Commonwealth Youth Games so far. In a statement made to Local Daily, Cook Island Sports and National Olympic Committee Manager Suniva Masters said their aim is to at least win a medal, and the athletes will also be targeting their personal best in the Games. Kiribati will only be competing in 3 sports: tennis, weightlifting and boxing. The team is expected to depart for the Games on the 3rd of September and to return on the 17th September. Cook Islands and Kiribati, PNG along with other Pacific nations are expected to announce their final team selection before the end of this month. Shane Saroya National, MTV Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. We'll have boxing and a story on Sonny Bill Williams making the New Zealand Sevens team. Stay tuned for that.
Trukai Sports.
Good to have you back with Trukai Sports. The Prime Minister of Tonga, Honourable Samuela Akilisi Pohiva, and his government have confirmed that Tonga is going to host the 16th Pacific Games in 2019. This statement was made to clear any confusion and doubts on whether they will be going ahead with the Pacific Games. Their government is doing its best to seek financial assistance from donor and developmental partners and raise funds for the Games.
They have received funds from the New Zealand government towards upgrading Te Whaiva Stadium, and discussions are underway with other donors and development partners to fund other sporting complexes. The government is working closely with the Tonga Pacific Games 2019 Organizing Committee on the plans for the Games, with the constructions and preparation of venues and sporting facilities to start next year. During this year's Pacific Games in July, Tonga was encouraged to receive the support of other Pacific Island countries and that they can host a successful Pacific Games in 2019. Therefore, they are calling on the people of Tonga and abroad for their support as they prepare to stage the 16th Pacific Games in 2019. Elijah Lavette, National MTV Sports.
Well, high-profile code hopper Sonny Bill Williams has featured in New Zealand's 7th squad for the Rio Olympics. With very little experience with the format of rugby sevens, Williams' ability to adapt to the demands of rugby was demonstrated in his switch from league to union. Coach Gordon Tegens told the international media although Williams is yet to play a game of rugby sevens, he has the skill sets. The lure of Olympic gold has also tempted the All Blacks teammate Liam Messam. Both All Blacks have been named in a strong team of Sam Vaka, DJ Forbes, Adi Savea and Akira, including Rekeo Ioane. Well, that wraps up Trukai Sports tonight. Coming up after the break, we'll give you all the weather details. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in southern region, fine weather expected in Alotau and Popondetta. Daro to look forward to fine weather with a bit of windy patterns and cloudy periods expected in Port Moresby and Kerema. In Momase, cloudy periods with patches of rain expected in Lake City, mostly fine expected in Madang, brief showers in Wewak and a shower or two expected in Vanimore. In the New Guinea Islands, fine although cloudy at times in Buka, few showers expected in Lorengau, KVN, Kokopo and Rabaul to look forward to brief showers, while Kimbe a shower or two. And in the Highlands region, all centres mostly fine, then morning fog. Looking at forecasts for small ships, before that there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters in southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait, including Daru to Kiwai Island, Cape Vogel, Finschhafen to Vitia Strait, Siasi Islands, all the way to Long Island and all the New Guinea Islands. Looking at waters of the southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait, Daru to Kiwai Island, seas of 2 meters to 2.5 meters, waters east of Kiwai Island to Kerema, Yule Island to Hood Point, Summer Island, west of Long Island to Medang, Bogia, Wewak, Aitape through to Vanimo and the northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 0.5 to 1 meter, waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas of 1 meter to 2 meters, waters of Samurai Island through to Cape Vogel and Finschhafen, seas of 1.5 meters to 2.5 meters, and waters of Finschhafen including Vitia Strait, Siasi Island, Long Island, Manus and its western group of islands, New Island, through to New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 2.5 meters to 3 meters. Now taking a look at ocean forecasts for PNG areas, Coral Sea sees rather rough with southeast winds at 20 to 35 knots. Solomon Sea sees moderate to patches of rough weather with southeast winds at 15 to 25 knots. Bismarck Sea sees rough with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots. And lastly, Pacific Ocean sees slight to moderate with southwest winds at 10 to 20 knots. Now before we go, recapping our main headlines again tonight. Indian cultural welcome for PNG delegation. Also, Agriculture Minister Tommy Tomskall justifies ban and frost-affected communities calling for help. Well, that's how we wrap up the bulletin tonight. From the news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi Jr. Thanks for your company. You take care and stay happy. Good night.